Hey everyone, Life Coach Carisa here. I want to start by asking you a question. What is the most hurtful thing you've said to yourself today? It may sound dramatic, but for so many of us, the way we talk to ourselves is not nice at all. This month, our theme is all about confidence, visibility, and playing bigger. And today we are getting to the root of that negative self-talk in silencing the inner critic, how to stop holding yourself back. We are going to uncover where that voice comes from and how to rewrite your internal narrative to build unstoppable self-trust. So don't go anywhere. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This month, my theme is all about confidence, visibility, and playing bigger. And today's video is titled Silencing the Inner Critic and How to Stop Holding Yourself Back. You know, why is it that it's often easier to be nasty to ourselves than it is to be nice? It's a question I've asked myself and countless other clients. That voice inside our head can be so dramatic and critical and sometimes just plain mean, right? We all have it. That inner voice that holds us back, it might sound like you're not good enough, you're too sensitive, you always act like this, what's wrong with you, why can't you do better? These sentences feel like truth, but in reality, they are just simply that, words. We need to ask ourselves, do I even believe this? Where did this story come from? Because let's look at where the origin of that inner critic comes from, right? It is often a product of our family programming. We absorb and internalize beliefs from our childhood. How? Why? Because of things like this. There's observational learning. I write about this in my book. We model the behavior and emotional cues of our caregivers. It's how we're wired. There are also these explicit and implied expectations. We learn from rules that are both openly stated and those that are just assumed. There's emotional bonding. We seek our parents' and caregivers' approval for survival. And so aligning our beliefs with their beliefs is often rewarded, and that just shapes our identity, right? And there's also sometimes a lack of alternative perspective because as children, we don't know there's even another way to think or be, right? So, for me, I recognize my father's perfectionism was the fertile ground for my inner critic. He used to say, good enough never is. And so I equated that throughout life that I needed to really kill myself working to be worthy. And then in high school, my guidance counselor said I needed a backup plan because the family business might not last. And then what will you do? And so I can see how his perfectionism and her fear created a toxic mix in my life. My inner critic became the voice that would say, you're not good enough, Carisa. Your dad wouldn't feel like this is good enough, Carisa. And if you don't figure this out, you're contributing to the failure of this entire business. I mean, what a mess, right? That is not what I wanted to have happen. But somehow these words up here would create that for me. And so what is this critic's job, right? And what is the impact it has on us? Well, okay, why does this voice exist? Our brain stores past experiences and it's always judging what's happening around us to keep us safe from danger. That's why we have it. The inner critic is trying to protect us. But when we don't know how to be the responsible managers of this powerful voice, that's when things can get really messy. So the cost is that we lose our own sense of self, our direction, and our authentic voice. And we could get stuck in this endless loop of perfectionism, overworking, overwhelm, right? And we're going to ultimately pay a price by succumbing to this constant anxiety, right? Anxiety is talked about so frequently now. Why? We've got to look at the narratives up here, right? So the work is really about starting to catch those words, those sentences in your mind. I like to call it my inner roommate. And I want you to separate you from that voice. I can vividly remember this period in my life where I just felt like I was waking up and repeating the same thing every day, the same sentences. You're flawed. You've made a mess of your life. You're not capable of ever doing anything different. And what I began to recognize is that I had an inner roommate in my brain. I pictured this person who was negative and sloppy and overweight and just sitting and drinking wine and eating Oreos, right? And if I had my choice, I would not have allowed that roommate to stay there. But I didn't know about all this, right? So separating myself from that toxic part of me was instrumental in recognizing how this mindset was not serving me. Because you have an inner roommate too, and I want you to separate yourself from that. They are just sentences that have become your autopilot way of thinking. But remember, you are the one that always has the power here. You get to decide if that version of your roommate gets to stay or if you're sending them packing and you're looking for new roommates. The truth is, you are the gatekeeper that can change that cycle. You have to be the one to give yourself permission to look at this intentionally, right? And I think it really comes down to building self trust. Everyone talks about self confidence, even self worth, but I think it's about self trust. I have really come to believe that confidence comes from action. I didn't have the confidence to write a book until I started with the introduction and then the first chapter and then the next. Self trust is something so much more overarching and beautiful. It's establishing a loving relationship with yourself that is so unbreakable that you have sharpened your ability to catch those sentences and say, like, wait a minute, Miss Nasty, that is not helping me. And it's not even true. Because I remember when this concept took shape in me, as I crafted a plan for my life after leaving our family business after over 35 years of working in it, I had no evidence yet that I would become an amazing coach. I had more lack of evidence than I had proof, but I had wins along the way, and I was stacking them up to build this belief that I had something special. And so, about 6 months into my business, I was given an amazing opportunity to coach at a local business. I hadn't done this before, but I did have experience that I could make it work. And as I showed up each month, I would thrive. And I remember one of these times I walked out the doors and I immediately had the thought, you aren't any good at this. What are you doing? Wouldn't it be easier if you just sat at home and did nothing? I literally remember walking down the sidewalk and saying out loud, what in the world are you talking about? Where did that crazy talk just come from? I just left feeling on a natural high from the support that I have just provided. I am in my zone. This is not true. This is lies. This is not even really me talking. And that moment was so powerful because I put distance between myself and Miss Nasty. I would not jump on her bandwagon every time she offered a thought. I recognized and accepted the reality that I am not my thoughts. And so the ultimate benefit of this work isn't so much about silencing that inner critic, because we still need that voice to keep us safe. But the goal is to make sure you are proactive and encouraging that the voice you want to hear is louder of the two. It is a feeling of peace, of inner knowing, of self-trust that is supercharged. And it is the most amazing feeling I have ever experienced. I'm not perfect, and that's okay. I'm my biggest fan and cheerleader, even when I messed up. It is the most beautiful, loving relationship I have ever built. And the benefit is that I get to show up in the best way for everyone that I love and that I encounter throughout my life. And so what would it be like for you to experience this too? Because I am here to tell you that you absolutely can. All right, everyone, I hope this video gave you the insights and actionable steps that you need to start playing bigger in your life. If this video resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. Also, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you want a deeper dive into understanding and finding your own ingrained patterns and stuck sentences, please be sure to check out my book, Why Am I Like This? You can find it on Amazon. All right, everyone, I'll see you next time and have a beautiful day.